In 2008, millions of people lost everything. Their homes, their savings, their retirement funds, their jobs. Entire families watched decades of hard work disappear almost overnight. But this wasn't caused by a war. It wasn't caused by a natural disaster. And it wasn't caused by some mysterious hacker. Instead, it was caused by people wearing expensive suits, people working in skyscrapers, people who were trusted to manage money. And while ordinary people suffered, many of the people responsible walked away richer than ever. Today, we're uncovering the biggest financial scam in modern history. A scam so massive that it nearly destroyed the global economy. And the most disturbing part, the same incentives that caused it still exist today. Part 1. The dream everyone bought into. For decades, buying a house was considered the ultimate symbol of success. Politicians encouraged it. Banks promoted it. Parents taught their children that owning a home was the safest investment they could ever make. And for a while, it seemed true. House prices kept rising year after year. People started believing something dangerous, that housing prices could never go down. If a house was worth $200,000 today, surely it would be worth $250,000 next year. And if prices always go up, then buying more houses seemed like free money. Soon, everyone wanted in. Investors, families, banks, even people who couldn't actually afford homes. And that's when Wall Street saw an opportunity, not to help people, but to profit from their dreams. Part 2. The birth of a perfect scam. Traditionally, banks were careful. If they gave someone a mortgage and that person couldn't pay it back, the bank lost money. So banks checked income, employment, credit history, everything. But then Wall Street changed the game. Banks discovered they could make loans and immediately sell them. Instead of keeping the mortgage, they bundled thousands of mortgages together and sold them to investors. This created a huge problem because once banks no longer carried the risk, they stopped caring who received the loan. Suddenly, people with terrible credit were approved. People without stable jobs were approved. Some people were approved without proving their income at all. The more loans banks created, the more money they made. It didn't matter whether those loans were good or terrible. The machine only cared about volume, and the machine was getting bigger every day. Part 3. Selling garbage as gold. Now comes the most unbelievable part. Many of these mortgages were extremely risky. Some borrowers were already struggling financially. Others couldn't realistically afford their monthly payments. Yet Wall Street packaged these risky loans together and sold them around the world as investments. Pension funds bought them. Insurance companies bought them. Governments bought them. Investors trusted them. Why? Because many of these investments received top credit ratings. Everyone knew profits were being made, the financial equivalent of putting a luxury label on a box full of garbage. Few people asked where those profits were coming from, and those who did ask were often ignored, because when billions of dollars are flowing through the system, nobody wants the party to end. Part 4. The collapse. Then reality arrived. People started missing mortgage payments. Foreclosures increased. Housing prices stopped rising. Then they started falling. And suddenly, the entire system began to collapse. The investments that were supposed to be safe, the ratings that investors trusted, were wrong. The profits that looked real vanished. Banks stopped trusting each other. Companies struggled to survive, and panic spread across the world. Some of the biggest financial institutions in history either failed or required government bailouts. The global economy entered a crisis unlike anything seen in generations. Millions lost their jobs, millions lost their homes, millions lost their savings, and most of them had absolutely nothing to do with creating the problem. Part 5. The most shocking part. You might think that after causing so much damage, thousands of people would have gone to prison. But that's not what happened. Many executives kept their fortunes, many institutions survived, and many of the people responsible simply moved on. For ordinary families, the crisis became a life-changing disaster. For many powerful people, it became just another chapter in their careers. And that's why so many people call it the biggest financial scam in history. Not because it involved one criminal, but because an entire system rewarded reckless behavior while ordinary people paid the price. The lesson isn't that banks are evil or that investing is dangerous. The lesson is much simpler. Whenever profits become more important than responsibility, disaster eventually follows. History shows this again and again. Different decades, same different technology, behavior, greed, short-term thinking, and the belief that someone else will pay the price. The names change, the products change, but the pattern remains the same. And that's why understanding financial history isn't just interesting, it's necessary. Because the biggest financial scams don't look like scams while they're happening. They look like opportunities. If this story shocked you, remember something. The next financial disaster won't come with a warning label. The next bubble won't announce itself, and the next scam won't look like a scam. That's exactly why channels like this matter, because understanding how money really works can save you from mistakes that cost people their homes, savings, and futures. So subscribe now, not because it helps the channel, but because one day the information you learn here might save you from becoming part of the next financial disaster. And trust me, by the time everyone is talking about it, it's already too late.